Now I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. And look, I'm not gonna be the one to here to tell you that in the end it ain't gonna suck. It might be good. Who knows? But this version of Becky and Seth Rollins, the power couple of WWE, is not the same as 2019's version of it. It was 2019, right? Yeah. Anyway, so, like I said, who knows what the outcome is going to be? Maybe it's going to be for a short spell. Maybe it's just going. Maybe she's in the group. Maybe she's not in the group for a due amount of time. But while we're here, it's present. It's on camera. We see it. We know it. They have brought it back to the light. It's like we've been known from that time to now. It's been alluded to in promos about when they each have had matches about each other's spouses and stuff. But they have been very careful of putting it as a whole thing. Hell, to be honest, WWE doesn't. They always allude to it, but they don't do it with anybody. Naomi and Jimmy just only really did it because of the pregnancy. Charlotte and Andrade never got a chance to do it when they were together. The Cena and Bella thing, I was like, sure, and I was like, that's been alluded to since they both came back. But yeah, I was like, you don't. I was like, here lately, even though like Aleister Black, Zelina. Anyway, with that being said, I've seen people already seeming like, oh man, down about this, or saying something about like they're already fearful of what that was back then. But it's not the same. One, Vince versus Triple H. So now I was like, I'll go on record of that time that all that was going on. I did not mind their power couple thing. I was fine with it. I was totally down with how they did all the stuff. I thought it was a cool idea. But this goes to why I think a lot of people didn't really deal with it. It's because it was Vince doing it. One, Vince, especially at that time, wasn't doing a great job at any of the storylines, any of the pay-per-views. People were over with Vince. They are done. And I'm not even talking about in the way that they're done with him now with all the allegations. I mean, like, they were just done with him being in control, where everybody's like, I can't wait till the day he's gone so we can have somebody else take this over. Comes in with Triple H, which, while I think WWE is a little bit on a little dry spell, it's like it's a chill moment, nothing popping off, nothing huge, nothing going on as of yet. Triple H has still been able to have a consistency that makes you feel good at least about the product in itself. It maybe doesn't hit the heights that it can hit sometimes, but you don't ever have to feel about the lows of the lows. And so that's why this is at least is in better hands of dealing with whatever is going to come out of this power couple vision thing that they do for however long they decide to do it. Because you already have better trust that it will at least stay here. Never different but over here. Now, in that as well too, and this sort of goes a little bit into Triple H and the Vince thing, but also the fact that they're not baby faces. What happened in their first run, they were both baby faces at the time, but both of them weren't. Seth was at the sort of like at the bottom part of his babyface run. I was like right around where it's like, like during his that babyface run, he beat Brock and everybody was like, yay! But he also had to lose it back to Brock just to beat Brock again. I was like from the credibility of with the Fiend and all that other stuff. Like this just wasn't a good Seth Rollins face thing. I was like, and like I said, I didn't have a problem with it, but you can tell with everybody else that it was. Like, most people really just don't like Seth as a babyface, which goes back to the way we do it with Vince versus Triple H, because Vince's babyface is always like, I'm a dude, gosh darn it, I'm gonna be my very best. Oh no, the bad guys got me. Whereas, like, Triple H, we've seen Seth Rollins as the babyface when he first had the World Heavyweight Championship. And guess what? It was fine. It was good. Everybody liked it. Now you can also say that was opposed to also like Roman having the title, all the other stuff. These factors also help into that, but his baby face was really dry. And Becky at the time isn't the man that made her rise to popularity. She was really kind of more of a desensitized version of it as well. I was like, nothing wasn't really popping off of her either. So they were just really just baby faces, and it was just kind of like it was too much of we're a couple, yay, I love you. It was too much that I feel like in wrestling doesn't fly. Like wrestling does gotta have a little bit of more grit and grime to it that was like this isn't. I feel like this is not the time for some rom com stuff, especially in the generic way that Vince was sort of booking it. And then let's come to like I feel like I was like they're all sort of big factors because I was like I said, the babyface thing is always a weird point in all of this. But the opponents here with Seth and Becky, there is Punk, and this is being before the talks of AJ, because everybody alluded to it. Everybody thought that's what everybody's on their mind. WWE had a little leak that seems like AJ coming back. So there's that. So if it is AJ, that already put it at a high level that we'll see how if it can get to the success that everybody has with the hype, or will it burn because of the hype? But either way, the hype is here that it needs in order for I think this to also work. And back then it was Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans and Constable Corbin. Now, I was saving this part for the fact that when I said I didn't mind any of these things when they were happening then. I liked Constable Corbin even though everybody hated him. But some of that is because everybody hated Vince. They hated the boring show. They hated... And I feel like it got really taken out on Baron. Kind of really did. Like, especially that time when the Authority was like, well, what we, Shane, Triple H, Stephanie, all the head people, was like, we listen to you. I was like, we are not doing this here and there anymore and all this other stuff. And then Baron comes out and he just gets booed for it. It was during that time. So people hated Constable Corbin because all it felt like was he was running Raw. He was really just being a proxy for Vince. And Lacey at this time was being pushed as somebody you could and this is also going back to Vince, that if you was somebody of Vince's thing, like Vince is like picking you, because I was like, that's how it felt, like how almost like Austin Theory sort of was. Like Austin Theory came up, it was sort of fine, but once it was sort of like, wait, is Vince choosing you? Is this Roman all over again? Boo you. And it sort of was like this with Lacey Evans. And I'm not saying that Lacey Evans was great or anything, or her booking was great or nothing like that, but I do feel like I said, with the whole thing, she was being rushed into like the World Heavyweight Championship match, which people are very iffy on, because a lot of them will bitch either way, where they're like, oh, we need to make new people, and then once a person gets moved up too fast, like, whoa, that's too fast, I don't like that, then all of a sudden it's a problem. But with Lacey, she was being propelled really fast. I will say that I do think that I was fine with her gimmick. But like Austin Theory, the part where it is too fast is the fact that you can sort of tell like the person's green in a lot of these aspects, where it's like they're not at anything good yet. So it's like you could tell, like you could see like maybe the talent's there, but this is like, okay, wait, you ain't got the mic. I was like, you ain't got the wrestling. I was like, your gimmicks like I was like, so you got too many things that's like, it's like all not hitting. Like, like if you're a really great wrestler, you could do without the mic. If you're really good on the mic, you can sort of get away without the wrestling. If you got a really good theme, you get people behind you that gives you more time to do some of the other stuff. So I was like, if you know how to do cool stuff, even if you ain't the technician wrestler, I was like, then you could still make it by. If you gotta have like something strong to sort of get you there. Like LA Knight, His character is really strong. I was like, he's really good on the mic. And then I was like, guess what? His wrestling got into like a WWE type of like standard. I was like, I think LA Knight's a really good wrestler, but I also could tell like it depends on he's not at the top or nothing like that, but he does. I was like, but he's good and I think great in some of the other areas, so it balances out. Jey Uso, and other people want to give him shit a lot of time. I was like, he got the character. I was like, he got the people behind him. I was like, his story's really good. That guess what? If he doesn't have, I was like necessarily with the work rate as a single wrestler and not on this on the mic, everything else works that sort of can overshadow a little bit of that. You got to have something. Lacey Evans didn't really have that. She sort of had the little like Southern lady draw, but I think it's fine. I think like when you come up, you can have these I was like these gimmicks or these characters until you know you really get like either another one or you figure stuff out. Like there's like starter kit pack kind of stuff. And she had a really good move with the punch and all this other stuff. And I was like, I think some of the stuff worked. But the fact that she was being rushed in there, Baron Corbin, all of a sudden is like how he's the center guy. Then all of a sudden he getting championship matches. I was like, I think it just sort of just breeded a recipe for disaster, especially at the time that it was. Because I was like especially like during that 2019 and all that other stuff, it was like so bad. People were so done and people were so over that nothing really, to be honest, was really going to work. Especially when you felt like it was them that was not just necessarily doing storyline, but it's like you are making this a storyline way too hard. You wanted too much, not us. You wanted it too much, and that's why I think that time was bad. It was too many things working against the whole situation, because I think a lot of people have or do want, especially once we know that y'all like is a couple, is made as a couple, and y'all are sort of wrestling in a way that we sort of like know, like, oh, y'all come across a little bit too much to not at some point be like, why aren't y'all ever helping each other out or something like that? Like, that's weird. You know, like I know I threw out like Andrade and Charlotte before, but they never came across as a couple. We just knew that on the outside of wrestling. But something like Naomi and Jimmy, when like Jimmy was in the bloodline and Naomi never crossed, and it's like that was kind of just weird why that never happened. You know what I'm saying? And even then, like I was like, it never really happened. I'll also say that another thing I think made it tricky, where it's like I think it still will make it tricky here, is intergender matches, because outside of like the mixed tag matches that were really cool that WWE should bring back, I think it's really hard to basically figure out how to do a match where that's going on and nobody is able to really. I was like, look, the men can't hit the women. Let's be honest, that's what it really is. That's like the really signal of being a heel. That's why when Randy Orton does it, he's devious as hell. When Baron Corbin did it to Becky, he gave her the end of day. That's why that was such like a cool moment for everybody, because it was like, he actually did that. That was crazy. Which I really think that their match that they had it was a little bit clunky, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that because of the hatred of Vince, people really hated that whole thing. And that's sometimes what it is. Sometimes that taste can be so bad. Like if you get food poisoning from a place, are you going to stop eating at that place? You probably are. Or at least wean off or whatever like that. But that doesn't, like if you got food poisoning from a burger, that don't mean you done with burgers. But I'm done eating it from over here. And that's what it was. You got tired of eating it from there. Even though it's like, I like wrestling, but this establishment gotta go down. I just felt like that's what it was with that whole thing. So I think this go around, I think everybody's still in a good place. Even though, like I said, maybe sort of just like a little bit of like a lull. This is sort of, a little dry. Ain't nothing there. But I think that everybody's in a good mood. I was like CM Punk and Seth draws no matter how many people was tired of now I don't think a lot of people are, but a good amount of people are tired of it. And if you do get AJ, we're going to have to see how she shakes out that ring rust. But the hype that comes with that trounces any other stuff in any of these. I think if it was a better combination of who they also would have fought against, it might have made it a little bit better. But I just think that everything was so toxic at that moment that that could not work. And I was like, maybe I'll do a whole thing one day about like the Constable Cobra. Because I was like, I personally liked it. I thought it made sense that he was in this heavyweight championship match with Seth, even though that's one thing that a lot of people didn't like. That like out of all people, Corbin somehow was at a championship spot. And to be honest, if I'm running the damn show, why would I not put myself in that position? Just saying. But anyway, so hopefully we get a good ride out of it. Even if it doesn't, I was like, look, we don't know how this is going to end. I don't think there's a way that they can, unless there's like an injury or something like that, there's no way that this, I think, could go bad. So, while however long it lasts, because like I said, we'll see if Becky stays here or not. I think she should. I was like, they gotta prolong this whole thing. I was like, so we'll see how long that goes, especially if they do the couple thing and are you gonna do other couples? Like how do they expound upon this? I was like, I don't know. I was like, we had to see that. That made me think of who was it? It was Miz and Maurice? Was it? And it was Bryan Danielson and Brie Bella. And I was like, where like the women just came in just to basically do this. They still stayed around like for their beef or whatever. And guess what? That was another thing that everybody wanted, and Vince messed the whole thing up and all this other stuff. So anyway, that's like another thing where we had something else similar like this, and the whole Vince thing umbrella poo-pooed it. It was raining poop. Anyway, just give it a chance. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for listening. Till then, we'll see how this goes. See if AJ comes back. I don't know. Peace out.